Luxury watches have always held a certain mystique, symbolizing status, precision, and craftsmanship. But what if I told you that the very luxury we covet could pose a threat to our lives? Sometimes the pursuit of opulence collides with concerns about safety and well-being. And this is pretty much the story of this watch that got banned because it was too dangerous. Yeah, you heard that right. A watch that can hurt you badly. This is the story of the Rolex Submariner, reference number 6200. The Submariner 6200 is a piece of history, a rare gem that collectors around the world consider the crown jewel of their collections. The Submariner stands as a legend among vintage Rolex enthusiasts due to its limited production. In the mid-1950s, Rolex was on the brink of transforming the watch industry. It was in this era of innovation that the Submariner 6200 made its debut. It was a pioneer, a trailblazer that helped establish the legendary status of the Submariner line. Manufactured for only a short period, its scarcity contributes significantly to its desirability. With an estimated 300 examples produced, collectors avidly seek this rare piece. Among its three remarkable references, the Submariner 6200 emerged as the epitome of excellence. Engineered for professional divers, it proudly boasted a groundbreaking water resistance of 200 meters, setting it apart from its counterparts, the 6204 and 6205. Now, what makes this vintage marvel stand out? Well, let's start with its design. An oversized 8mm brevet crown that earned it the endearing nickname Big Crown. The Rolex Submariner 6200 stands out in the world of vintage watches due to several distinctive features, with its large 8mm brevet winding crown being a key identifier. This oversized crown has earned the 6200 the moniker Big Crown Submariner. Sharing this feature with other iconic models like the reference 6538 and reference 5510, the Submariner 6200 holds a special place in the lineup of Big Crown Submariners. This distinctive feature sets the Submariner 6200 apart from its contemporaries. In a world where precision and durability were paramount, the Submariner 6200 became the embodiment of Rolex's commitment to excellence. Each tick of the Submariner 6200 carried with it the legacy of Rolex's craftsmanship and the promise of unparalleled performance. This vintage timepiece wasn't just strapped to wrists. It was worn by those who sought adventure, those who understood the importance of a reliable companion beneath the waves. Adding to its allure is its gilt explorer-style dial, featuring numerals at 3, 6, and 9 o'clock, simple baton hour markers, and an inverted triangle at 12 o'clock. Now, while this explorer-style dial is a distinctive trait, it is worth noting that similar dials are also found on other Submariner models. An interesting historical note is a notable auction event in 2013, where Christie's auctioned a Submariner reference 6200 for 485,000 Swiss francs. This particular timepiece included the unique detail of officially certified chronometer text under the Submariner label, making it a singular example in the Submariner 6200's history. Now, in terms of horological evolution, the Submariner 6200 was the first to introduce the now ubiquitous Mercedes-style hands, deviating from the pencil-style hands seen in its predecessor, the reference 6204. Notably, the Mercedes-style hands of the Submariner 6200 are longer than those found on subsequent references, adding an extra layer of distinctiveness to this already exceptional vintage Rolex. Background on tritium's luminescence. In the world of watchmaking, luminescence has played a pivotal role in enhancing timepiece legibility, especially in low light conditions. The luminescent material used on vintage Rolex watches was predominantly radium-based. Radium, with its ability to emit a glow in the dark, became the standard luminescent substance for Rolex timepieces during this era. This property made it an ideal choice for watch manufacturers seeking to create timepieces that remain visible in various lighting scenarios. In the early 1900s, the potential health hazards associated with radiation exposure were not fully comprehended, and radium was often marketed as a magical and seemingly miraculous substance. However, the use of radium in watch dials and hands was not without its consequences. Although there were safety measures in place, growing health concerns pushed Rolex to abandon radium altogether in 1963. With radium ruled unsafe, tritium became the luminous material of choice for Rolex. Just like radium, tritium was also a radioactive isotope of hydrogen. However, it came with a much lower level of radiation and a much shorter half-life. It emerged as a luminescent wonder, transforming watches into highly legible companions in the dark depths. Tritium, due to its ability to emit light when combined with phosphor, was used in the Submariner 6200, with its iconic design tailored for professional divers, and it benefited greatly from tritium's glow-in-the-dark properties. The luminescent markers on the dial and hands ensured that even in the darkest underwater environments, the watch remained readable, adding a crucial element to its functionality. Shift from tritium to non-radioactive alternatives. Transitioning from radium to tritium, Rolex sought safety in luminescence. Yet, even this safer alternative carried risks, leading to today's strict regulations. While tritium was exponentially safer than radium, it only had a half-life of a little over 12 years. This meant that after just a couple of decades, only a tiny fraction of the initial luminescence would remain. Additionally, as tritium ages, the color changes, which creates interesting patinas on the luminous markers of older Rolex watches. Despite being substantially safer than radium, tritium was still radioactive, and as a result, many watchmakers of the time marked the dials with an indication of the level of radioactivity emitted by the watch. As time marched on and safety standards evolved, the watch industry faced another turning point. Tritium, while less hazardous than radium, still poses certain risks due to its radioactive nature. In response to growing concerns about the safety of radioactive materials, various countries have established stringent regulations, setting limits on the amount of radioactivity permissible in consumer items, watches included. This heightened security particularly extends to watches featuring tritium. Governments worldwide have imposed tighter controls, especially on watches surpassing specified radioactivity levels, as part of broader efforts to safeguard public health. It's crucial to clarify that while the Rolex Submariner 6200 itself is not banned, the focal point of regulatory scrutiny lies in the tritium used for luminescence. Tritium, with a half-life of approximately 12.3 years, undergoes a natural radioactive decay over time, making vintage watches considered safe under current standards. The reference 6200, along with other vintage Rolex Submariner models, once adorned with tritium for their luminescence, thus became a historical artifact representing not only the pinnacle of mid-20th century watchmaking, but also the industry's continuous quest for safety and innovation. In the contemporary landscape, regulations significantly impact the collection, sale, and transportation of vintage watches containing tritium. Enthusiasts and collectors must navigate a complex web of rules and restrictions when engaging with these timepieces across borders. The movement of such watches is subject to meticulous scrutiny to ensure compliance with international safety standards. These regulations not only reflect a commitment to safety, but also underscore broader concerns about consumer protection. This delicate balance allows for the preservation of horological heritage while ensuring that timepieces with radioactive elements adhere to stringent safety protocols. As collectors cherish these vintage watches for their aesthetic and historical value, they also play a role in the ongoing dialogue about the responsible handling of such artifacts. The evolving regulatory landscape invites a nuanced exploration of the intersection between passion for horology and the imperative of ensuring safety and well-being in the world of watch collecting. Because of the industry's commitment to safety, many have induced a gradual shift away from tritium. Non-radioactive alternatives, such as Luminova, emerged as the new frontier in luminescent technology. Luminova, a photoluminescent substance, offered excellent glow-in-the-dark properties, without the inherent risks associated with radioactive materials. And there you have it. The Rolex Submariner 6200, with its big crown and tritium luminescence, perfectly represents an era where craftsmanship met adventure, but things went a bit too far. While you can't own one legally, it is still an important part of the watchmaking history. What are your thoughts on all of this? How do timepieces like this continue to etch their mark on the ever-evolving canvas of luxury and legality? Be sure to drop a comment down below and I'll be sure to respond to it. Until next time, keep cherishing the timeless stories on your wrists.